So the game director for Dragon Age: The Veilguard is out at Bioware, and we've got some rumors of a studio closure. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about that as my Saturday's starting off before I get into the swing of things. First off, name's Ojiro. Been developing games for a bit over 15 years. I'm not going to talk about the crediting issue that they're talking about. In some circles, like Smash JT broke the story of Corrine Busche leaving, and then a games journalist came out and was like, "No, actually, I was the one that did it," and started to be really snarky. Um, Rev Says Desu did like a great video on this. I suggest you go watch that if you are interested in that side of things. I look at it and just think if it had been anyone else, they would have credited them, but they didn't credit Smash and Grummz because it's Smash and Grummz. So uh it's just pettiness because they feel threatened and they should. So when this story broke, I just grabbed the first article here. I don't actually suggest going to IGN, but we've got the Dragon Age Veilguard director that's leaving. And some people are like, "Oh, well, it's because, she ruined everything and now they're trying to get out as the ship is sinking." And I don't think that's true. I checked their LinkedIn. They've been at under Electronic Arts umbrella at BioWare for a bit over 18 years. She wasn't going to go anywhere. The only reason this person left is because they got a like in our industry, we have some people that do a courtesy to one another when they are about to be fired or laid off, where they come up to them and they're like, "Hey, as a heads up, it's time for you to leave." That way they can give them like a time frame. Usually it's like a week or two, maybe a little less if it's letting them know that powers above you are going to fire them regardless. And you turn in your notice and you're like, "Hey, I'm going to get fired, so let's just do it so that I can be, save a little bit of face, send out an email, let everyone know this is my contact information so that we can connect on various things." So there's no way that this person was just, randomly decided to leave after spending nearly 2 decades at BioWare. It's just not something that people do. Usually when I see people that work at one studio for a really long time, they have a fundamental failure to understand how difficult it is to get a job in the games industry, because they're just like, "Oh, well, this is how I did it back then, and that's how it is," right? It's extremely difficult to get a lot of these jobs. Interviewing is a skill. This person probably hasn't interviewed somewhere and since they first got their first job. And even if they had to get interviews internally, it would have been softballs. I don't know if this person's going to return to the game industry. I would hope not. If they do, they need to stay in the indie space. But if they decide to and people are willing to hire them, then they just join a growing list of canaries for the games industry. So with that, there are some people that I've worked with where I will, if I find out they work at a company, I'm just like, that company's probably garbage. That's not everyone. I've worked with a lot of people that are just immature, and that's fine. You grow out of that. But in terms of individuals that, some people, there's just something wrong with them, right? And they don't do a good job. So for those folks, I can look at them and I'm just like, okay, you might have been good at your job 15 years ago, but the landscape has changed so much since then. I know that you're still trying to provide solutions for 15 years ago, no matter where you go. So there's some games where I look at them and I'm like, "Oh, that game sounds interesting." And then I'm like, I see who's working on it, and that is representative of the quality of people that they are probably working with. Like a great example of a game where I was like, the game's probably garbage. Starfield. I saw some old colleagues that were working there and I was like, "Oh, this game's probably garbage." Um, it's just, it is how it is. Now, with the studio closure, it should happen. I don't see why any investor or any member of any board would be under some delusion that they're going to get something better than Dragon Age of the Veilguard out of this studio. It's just a waste of money. I see some people that are consistently like, oh, you shouldn't celebrate layoffs in the industry. And I totally disagree with that. I feel like there's a lot of people in AAA that have completely forgotten that we make games for other people, and making games is inherently extremely risky. They've worked at these places for 10 plus years, and they're like, oh, well, I just get to come into work, put into work, and then go home. And I don't recommend people work in the games industry because of its volatility, its long hours. I lived month to month for about a decade coming into the industry. Like my first job, I was making 32K. I was paying like $700 a month in student loan payments, and I didn't receive my last paycheck. And on Halloween Day, they were like, by the way, we're out of money and we just decided not to pay you for the past, it was like 2 or 3 weeks. I was like, well, that sucks. But they got no money. So I just went home and I started to throw stuff away because I was like, I'm not going to be able to pay rent on the next couple days. It's rough. It is not a kind place to work. It never has been. And a lot of these studios, they've got people that have hopped in. They forget that and they produce garbage. Hold on 1 second. Oh, God. As soon as my ribcage heals, sneezing is going to be a lot easier. But not this day. It's just not a good place to work. It is not kind. It can be very creative at times. You can work with good people, but there's also a lot of people that are not good that you work with. So the studio should be shut down. I hope the people that actually give a damn about making games and making games for other people are able to find another job. And I hope those that are just treating it as a place to collect a paycheck leave the industry. The number of jobs in the industry are finite. We are constantly getting more people that are wanting to join the industry through whether it's just out of college, which a lot of them are garbage, or whether it's people that are good at various facets of their careers that are like, oh, I can make a mostly lateral move here. See a lot of programmers, not a lot, some programmers that come in from just other facets of programming that are like, I want to try making a game. They take a huge pay cut to come in. They work their ass off. They get to say, hey, I did this. This was fun. And some stay in the industry. A lot don't. I think it's like 10 years, last I checked, for people to retire from the games industry. Because of the volatility, the hours, it's generally not a good place to go if you want to spend time with your family with a lot of places. It's gotten better over time, but don't work here. Like, make a game on the side. And if you do, don't be under some impression that it's this like happy, fun place to work. It's just, you have happy, fun times, but you make up for it with a lot of work and low pay. Yeah, we need more layoffs in the industry. We've got too many studios that are filled with people that are not interested in making games for gamers. They actively hate the people that they are selling the games to, and those places need to go. There's like, that's it. I could be like, oh, these people have families and everything, and that's all true, but it's a business at the end of the day. You need to sell products for your business to stay afloat. And in this case, we've got Electronic Arts giving them money. They horrifically like underperformed with their latest game. And why should Electronic Arts and the other studios under Electronic Arts subsidize a studio that is incapable of making a good product? It is just the way things are. I imagine, well, I don't know if some of them are, some of them may just be delusional, but the people over in that studio should be polishing up their resume and getting ready to move on, start interviewing if they can, which I don't know what the UK job market is like, but I've been sending out resumes for a while here. And I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Maybe I just have to leave games because it's everyone's just like, look, uh, there's like no job spots open. There's a lot of mid-level job spots that I'm seeing, and then there's some where they're like, hey, okay, I need you to move across the country for this studio, and it's like, are you guys going to even be in business in the next year? I'm not moving my family for like some high risk thing. It's pretty bad. But that's kind of all for that. I know there's some stuff with the Kingdom Come Deliverance where people are upset. I mostly thought it was ridiculous with they put out some community forum thing. Let me Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 Steam. Let me see if I can just find it here. But they put out a rules on their community page where they're like, you can't do all these things or say all these things. And a lot of people were like, feeling really, what's the word? Betrayed by the folks. I don't know where it is. I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, wait. The code of conduct. And it's just a lot of, it's pretty draconian, super in-depth. It's like you're not allowed to at least talk about Nazis. Yeah, they're like, no neo-Nazism, but they don't have anything on communism here, even though more lives were lost to that. Because why not? Because for a lot of the far leftist folks, they're like, look, if you're on the right, you're a fascist. It's stupid. It really demeans the meaning of that word. But yeah, the developer doesn't control the Steam account. That's the publisher. I think the publisher is just being retarded. I know it says developer here. I don't know. Oh, I didn't even have a show. They privated their account. Yeah, this is the thing. My apologies. I thought I had this up. I totally did not. But this is all stuff that's going to be set by the publisher. And even if this individual is a developer at the actual studio, I would imagine that it's quite possible that they were told, hey, this is what you need to put on this page. And some of the head developers, people are trying to get questions out of them, and they're like, why aren't you telling us about this? Because they were banned in Saudi Arabia with some what was it? This unskippable scene for some LGBT thing, and they were like, we don't have unskippable scenes for one, and then they haven't been answering things, but part of that may just be contractual. They may not be allowed to talk about certain aspects of the game. We don't know. At the end of the day, watch people play it. Don't pre-order games. And if it's to your liking, buy it, and if it's not, don't buy it. Like, that's all. At the end of the day, we just need to, I'd say, try and be as calm as possible. Don't get upset over video games. We've got so many good video games, especially out of the indie space. But that's all for today. I'm gonna go get another cup of coffee as this is all getting uploaded, and I got some programming stuff to do today. What do I got to do today? I need more gray boxes. I think that's my day. Filler art so that I can start producing stuff next week. But thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you guys in a future video. Farewell.